guys, what's going on? So I'm finally out here getting in my first real training ruck in preparation for the fan dance, which is happening in just over a month from today. It's actually going to be taking place on the 6th of July, and it is the 26th of May today. And like I said, I'm finally getting out here and getting my first training ruck in, so I'm a little behind the power curve, a little more behind the power curve than I wanted to be initially when I set out to take on this challenge. Just a quick roll up and a reminder of what the fan dance is and what I'm actually going to be out there doing. It's a 24-kilometer hike through the Penny Fan mountain range, the Brecon Beacons, out in Wales. And from what I understand, it's an event that the British Special Forces have to do during their selection process in order to actually become part of their own special forces. So it should be like a pretty good event, kind of like a gut check sort of event, pretty difficult, pretty tough, and it's hailed to be one of the hardest events in England, apparently. I don't know about all that. I don't have really any experience with the fan dance. I hadn't heard about it until one of my buddies who works over at Crossfire, the ruck making company, he brought it up to me and thought it would be a real cool challenge for me to take on. And I was like, well, hell yeah, I'm not one to turn down a challenge, so let's do it. And they offered to pay my way as long as I wear a Crossfire ruck. And I actually already really like Crossfire rucks, so that was kind of a no-brainer choice for me. I was like, hell yeah, I'll definitely go do that. And I will definitely sport a Crossfire ruck, no problem. So there's a quick roll up and reminder of what's actually taking place here and what I'm training up for. I'm not too personally concerned with the event itself. I do think that I already have a pretty solid base of ruck marching skills built up for myself. However, I will caveat to that that I have not really been ruck marching as much as I normally do lately, like the past few months. So I want to make sure that I build back that solid foundational base for myself and then some, because even though this ruck march, this event, isn't necessarily a race, there will be people there that are going to try to do it for time, and I want to fall in with that group of people. I want to go out there and I want to give it my all, because I think completing it's not going to be an issue for me at all, but I want to see how fast can I get this done, how fast and how best trained can I be when I show up to take on the fan dance, and how well can I do it. So that's the mindset I'm going in there with. I really don't have a lot of apprehensions for actually completing the race, the ruck. I think it's not going to be too difficult to actually get it done for myself, but the real challenge is how fast can I get it done. And from what I understand, there's pretty rough terrain there. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of elevation changes going on. And for me, I'm on the entire other side of the world from where this race is going to be taking place. So just not even being properly acclimated by the time I show up is going to be a challenge. I know that. So these are some of the factors that I have to consider as I make my way through my training. I also have to make sure that I'm as set up as possible with the rucksack that I'm using. So here's my ruck that I'll be using. I'm sporting from Crossfire, and it's a one of a kind from my understanding. This is the gritty ruck, okay? It's specially outfitted, especially for me and what Crossfire knows that I prefer. It's basically one of their DG3s, just outfitted to be a little more sleek and a little more set up for a race like this, not so much like a long range patrol or anything like that. It's really just, it's going to be able to hold just the right amount of weight for what I need it for, nothing more, nothing less. Doesn't have a whole lot of extras, a whole lot of extra pockets or anything like that. It's pretty much just an open container on the inside. It can hold up to 50 liters of space, and it's got a few extra bells and whistles just to make my life easier. The load lifter on the back, and where the panel is, where it fits onto where your back, the sizing panel, that's set up to be completely adjustable to however I want to set it up. I have not messed with it yet because this is the first time I've even thrown it on my back, so I'll have to figure out what I want to do with it after I give a few miles. I've also got this high-speed quick clip, which I actually really like. Okay, so that's real nice, super comfortable. It's got the detachable closing flap on the back with the extra spare zip pockets, which makes getting in and out of it very easy. It also zips all the way down the spine or into the main compartment. You can zip it all the way down if you want to open it up all the way. And it's also got their new webbing system. I can't remember what they're calling it. You have to look at their site to check it out, but it's not the Molly. It's more of like a nylon webbing hanger system. That was one of the first things I noticed when I opened up this Ruck and checked out the Ruck, was that the nylon webbing system is a lot different than what you normally see with a Molly webbing system. Molly is good and all, but it can be kind of annoying. If you guys have experience using Molly, it can be a little annoying. You know, it's kind of tough to get the straps in through it, and it's very secure and all that, but it's just kind of annoying when you want to change things out. This is supposed to change all that, make it a lot easier to take on and off your pouches or your additional attachments, and I can see that that would be the case just by looking at it. But I will take this Ruck off in this video after a few minutes and just kind of go over it a little bit and give you guys a little bit of an idea on how I already think I need to adjust this to make it just right for me during this race. And you'll get a closer look at the rucksack itself. And before I forget, if you guys are interested in checking out a Crossfire rucksack, they are really good. Okay, I'm not just saying it. I've got like 5 or 6 of these now, and I love each and every one of them. I think it's awesome that I have like my own gritty rucksack now from Crossfire. But if you're interested in checking those out, I will put the link to the website in the description, along with a coupon code to save you some money, okay? You know, we're always looking for ways to help you guys save some money. I know I'm always looking for ways to do that. But anyway, so I'm out here on my first training ruck. I've got about a month to get ready, okay? So I wanted to initially give myself more around 2 months to be properly trained up for this. That just wasn't really in the cards for me. I actually just got done doing an Army course, a pretty difficult one. It's called the Jumpmaster course, if you haven't, you know, if you're not aware of Army schools, but I just got done with Jumpmaster. And during that time, I really did have to focus like all my physical and mental capacity to that school, to the successful completion of that school, because I did not want to have to do it again. And there was a couple instances where I almost, you know, failed. So I really had to focus everything I had and give everything I had to that course. So unfortunately, my ruck training had to go to the wayside for that. So we have some making up to do. You know, luckily for me, in my situation, I usually ruck march a lot on my own free time. So I've already built myself up a pretty good foundation. The main priority now, because I'm not too worried about my ruck marching ability, the main priority now is to make sure that I'm fitted well to this rucksack and that it's properly broken in and everything is ready to go, more than ready to go, by the time I actually get to the race itself. Not only that, but I want to make sure I'm trained up as best as possible for the terrain that I'm going to be facing, because again, I said I wanted to do this as fast as possible. Well, from what I've seen, from the minimal research I've done, I've seen there's a lot of rockiness there, there's a lot of steps, there's a lot of climbing, and that's not something I'm just out here doing all the time. So I have to get out here and do my best to prepare my body to be able to take on those sorts of elevation challenges. Where I live right now, there's not a whole lot of like steep inclines that I can go train on that are, you know, have enough distance to them. So I'm gonna have to make do with what I have. I do know of some rough terrain areas around my area with hills that will go, they'll stretch anywhere between 200 to 300 meters, and the inclines might be, I don't know, maybe 25 to 35 degrees, something like that. So I'll have to make sure I at least get those in. I also know there's a stadium that I could be using with a whole bunch of stairs, and so what I plan to do there is throw the ruck on and just crush myself on those stairs to help me build that strength up appropriately and prepare myself for taking on those steps and the elevation. That should help me out not only with the strength but the endurance, and also to minimize the chances of actually sustaining an injury out there, because when you're, you know, when you're taking a lot of steps at a time and you're not trained up for that, you're putting a lot of unnecessary strain on your knees if you haven't built up the strength around your knees. So I have to make sure I do that. I plan on getting a ruck on my back and getting some miles in at least 2 or 3 times a week. That's what my own personal life schedule is going to allow me to do. And honestly, I shouldn't be training anything more than that, because then I'm just looking at overtraining. So 2 to 3 times a week, getting some miles under my belt, working all the way up to at least, man, probably at least a 15-mile ruck. Because for me personally, I think if you're gonna go challenge yourself to a distance, you're going to do it for time, then you need to have made sure that you had done that distance pretty recently so that you feel confident at least with the distance. You know, you might have heard before that you don't want to train at 100%. You want to wait till game day to give your 100%. Well, I think you should have trained at 100%, not every day, but you should have at least experienced your 100% at least once or twice before you go out there and give it on game day, right? You need to know what that feels like so you have that expectation. What I would say is that you should have trained at least a few times at 100% level, and on game day, that's your time to give your 110%. You know what I mean? That's your time to like say, okay, this is what I know I'm capable of. I'm gonna see if I can go even further because I am all jacked up on Mountain Dew today and I'm gonna get this shit done. I've been training a long time for this. Let's do it. That's when you give your 110%. I know from experience that I'm gonna have to be putting a lot of miles on. I don't want all these miles to be with weight on my back because now I'm just begging for injury. So I'm gonna supplement my rucking with a lot of running and a lot of muscular endurance training. So for my runs, I will integrate at least one long distance run for myself a week, and then 1 or 2 recovery runs depending on how I'm feeling that week, or depending on how many rucks I was able to get in that week. If I can't squeeze in a ruck that I had on the schedule because of time or whatever, then I'm gonna make sure I at least get a run in instead. Because believe it or not, the best ruck marchers are also good runners, all right? Running's only gonna help you with your cardiovascular endurance and capabilities, and that's what's being called upon when you're doing your ruck marching. Not to mention your muscular endurance, that's where that comes in as well. So when I'm in the gym, I'm not training for strength overall at this point. I'm not necessarily training to build with this, I'm gonna be training to be able to endure. So I'll still maintain my basic lifts, but I'll probably add a little more functional strength in there. I'll be using the kettlebells a lot more, balance and power. And my rep count's gonna be a lot higher and the weight will be a little bit lower than what you typically see if you were training for strength or to put on muscle mass. That's not the goal here, all right? I got a specific goal in mind, and that is endurance. I'm always trying to train for what lies ahead of me next. What's the next thing I'm working towards? And I always like to have something that I'm working towards because it keeps me focused. It keeps me focused in my training, and it helps me to ensure that I don't get too complacent with my training. And I am sorry about this wind, guys, but hey, I can't control the weather. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm uploading this video regardless. See, this is actually some pretty decent terrain to be training on. You know, soft sand makes it harder to maintain your strides. Elevation, it's probably hard for you to tell right now, but I'm actually going up about a 30 to 35% grade right now. And so if I can find more areas like this to be training on, even if it is short, I need to get out here and do it, you know? They say the fan dance is an absolute lung buster, so there's nothing like a little bit of elevation gain to bust your lungs, and that really does take some training to get used to. All right, this looks like a pretty good spot to stop, and I think I'm out of the wind as much as possible here. I kind of want to take this off and show you guys what I'm talking about as far as concerns of mine and adjustments that I plan to make sure that this ruck fits to me as best as possible. All right, so right now I kind of just hastily packed this out because, to be honest, I just didn't have a whole lot of time this morning, and I kind of just forgot to pack this thing out. So I padded it out with partial portions of my sleep system. I threw in a whole bunch of MREs because MREs are like perfect for packing out a ruck, in my opinion. They're good weight and you can like mold them the way you need to and stuff them all in there. And then I also threw in a couple 10-pound plates. I don't normally throw in weight plates in my ruck because I fear that they'll move around too much and it won't keep the distribution of the weight good. But I did it today just for the sake of getting out here and making sure I had enough weight. My ruck weighs right now anywhere between 45 to 50 pounds. The fan dance is gonna have me rucking with a 35-pound ruck dry, or Bergen, if you're for your Englishmen out there. But I know that if I test this out at around 45 to 50, then it's really gonna signal to me if there's any adjustments that need to be made. And right now, I've only rucked for a few miles, and I can tell that there are some adjustments that I'm gonna have to make. So here we go. So here's the load lifter attachment I was talking about. I didn't touch this when I took it out of the box. I like, you know, for these rucks when they're brand new and you're experimenting with a brand new pack, I think it's important that you just sort of try it out for what it is when you first get it, and just go from there, right? So I can already tell from this first ruck that I'm gonna need to bring this waistband down just a few inches, not much, but I'm a taller guy, gonna have to bring this down a few more inches to make sure that the weight is sitting on the waistband like it's meant to, because right now I can feel it's more wanting to sit right here on the lower edge of my back, and the pads just aren't there to hold the weight, to support the weight. So we're gonna move it down. I like where the shoulder straps are at. Those so far feel good. And I'll tell you, man, these Crossfire rucks are pretty legit. They're so comfortable, even right out the box. But I do know that if I keep wearing this in, these pads are gonna get worn in, and they're gonna feel even better over time. So I need to get time under this ruck. Here's the gritty ruck, the gritty DG3, whatever we want to call it. This is how it's looking so far with me packing it out. And again, I just hastily did it, but this is the shape that I'm going for. I want to keep it sleek. I don't want a whole lot of edges on the outside, and I want to keep the weight evenly distributed. I also want to keep it nice and tight, and the cool thing about this ruck is there's plenty of straps that go around all over the place to make sure that this ruck stays real nice and tight. Okay, so I can cinch all these straps down, and the weight in here isn't going anywhere. It's what you want when you're out there doing rucks. You don't want to have a loose pack. You want everything in there to be super tight and compact, so that the weight it just feels like you're carrying one solid brick on your back. It's what you need. And the majority of that weight should be closest to your back and high up on your back, okay? Because otherwise, if you keep it off your back or in the low portion of the sack, it's just going to be dragging on your shoulders. You want to keep it close to your center of gravity, and when you're carrying a backpack on your back, that center of gravity is about right here. So that's where you want the majority or the heaviest weight to be. Right now I have my Camelback just underneath the top flap, because that's how I always do it when I use my military ruck. When I do anything rucking wise, I usually just throw my Camelback right underneath the top flap. For this ruck, that seems to be working so far, but it does feel like it's dragging a bit. So what I might do instead is either use a smaller Camelback so that it fits a little more snug underneath the top flap here, or there is a flap on the inside of this ruck that will hold a Camelback. I might go ahead and use that. I don't typically do things like that, but for the sake of making sure that the weight is evenly distributed, I might just do that. Usually I keep it under the top flap like that because it just gives me easy access in tactical environments. If you need to refill your water or anything like that, or just remove the Camelback for any reason, it's a lot easier to just undo the top flap real quick, take it out, and then put it right back in. But for this, I don't see myself having to get into the ruck. I don't want to have to get into the ruck very much, so it shouldn't matter too much where I put my water. Another thing that I'm gonna do that I can tell already is I'm gonna find myself some sort of small attachment pouches. I'm gonna look through the garage, or maybe I'll acquire some new ones that I can attach to this waistband, and that's where I can put my lickies and chewies or my headphones or whatever I just need easy access to. My camera, because I'm going to be out there carrying this thing around, right? I need to have easy access. I don't want to have to be taking off my ruck and going through my ruck to get little things like that. So I want to give myself a couple little pouches here on the front so I can just have easy access to the things that I need quickly. These are really cool too. These are for hiking poles, I was told. I haven't done a whole lot of Arctic backpacking, so I wasn't too sure. I thought this was like you could hook your D-ring attachments to these, which I think you could do that as well. I don't see why not. But this is actually for hiking poles, so that gave me already some inspiration on I want to keep using this ruck, and maybe I'll put it through some more punishment out in, you know, during the winter or something somewhere. I look forward to doing some sort of challenge like that. Actually, I've always wanted to hike Mount Everest, so hey, maybe one day, man, you never know. Here's the I'm gonna call them vertical nylon load lifters, because I just got out of Jumpmaster and I don't remember what they were calling them. But here's the attaching straps that I was talking about that's replacing Molly. And if you see, they're a lot more durable, and it's just a lot easier to get in and out of these, in my opinion. I think I haven't had a whole lot of experience using them, but to me, right off the bat, it was extremely noticeable that was different. And again, it was explained to me that these are going to be a lot easier to use than your traditional Molly system, and it's kind of the new up and coming thing. So this is pretty cool. I thought it was neat that it had that and not Molly, something a little different. And then we'll throw a gritty soldier patch on there, or maybe a nobody cares, work hard patch on there. for game day. That's where we're sitting today, guys. Day one, getting the Ruck on the back, kind of in a scramble, which is just the story of my life, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm still gonna execute, and we're gonna make this happen. Like I said, I'm gonna keep training. I'm gonna do about 2 or 3 rucks a week. I'll try to make a video at least weekly on this topic, just to keep you guys updated, especially since there's only like a month left till game day. And of course, I'm gonna be filming game day, so you can be looking forward to that. So, and not only will this series, you know, serve to be a personal vlog that I hope you can drive some motivation and inspiration from, but hopefully I can provide you some good information and some good insights to you guys out there that are trying to increase your ruck game. All right, so that's really what we're going for. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you are deriving some sort of benefit from this, because I will be making future videos and I don't want you to miss any of those future videos. It also really does help with the YouTube algorithm if you guys do that. So I would be forever grateful if you do not forget to like and subscribe if you found value from this video. I would also ask you guys, as part of the community, if you have any insight or tips or tricks for me that you think would benefit me on this journey, please do not hesitate to let me know. I am by no means the person that thinks they know everything, or, you know, the total expert on this topic. I do think I have a lot of experience, but there's always something more to gain and there's always something more to learn. So I'm totally willing to hear anything you guys have to say. So please drop that in the comments, not only for me, but for anybody else out there as well that might be looking for some tips or tricks to get better at ruck marching. So from here, the plan, I'm gonna throw this ruck back on, this Bergen back on my back, and I'm gonna do a few more laps of these couple miles that I just walked, but this time I'm gonna give it a nice trot. I'm gonna run it, all right? So I wanna make sure that the ruck is staying stable, and I wanna be able to identify some adjustments that I might need to make on the chest strap or the waist strap as I'm doing my running, because like I said, when I'm out there for the fan dance, I'm gonna try and get that thing done as fast as I possibly can. So there will definitely be some trotting and some running involved. So I need to make sure I'm trained up and ready for that. So that's what I'm gonna go do. Don't forget to check out the description for the link to Crossfire along with the coupon code. If you do decide to get something from there, might as well save a little bit of money, right? Besides that, I've got nothing else for you. I'll see you on the next one.